So what separates successful people versus unsuccessful people? Typically, the biggest difference is that unsuccessful people suffer from shiny object syndrome. If this is the first time that you're hearing this, basically it's a phenomenon where a person is easily distracted by new and shiny things, which often leads to a lack of focus and not being able to complete other tasks or projects. So in a nutshell, you keep getting distracted from your goals from shiny things, and in turn, you never reach your goals. Alright, so now that we know what shiny object syndrome even is, what causes it? Well, there's actually a few things that could cause it. And this isn't an exhaustive list or anything, so maybe there's other reasons, but these are the reasons that I think most people fall into. So it could just straight up be a lack of clear goals. When you set loose goals and you don't really have a plan, or you haven't defined a clear plan for how you're going to reach those goals, it's really easy to just dump it and move on to the next shiny thing. I mean, could you imagine trying to do a big project without the instructions? It would just be impossible. You wouldn't know what to do. But another reason that could cause it is FOMO, or the fear of missing out. Basically, FOMO is a very powerful fear, and it could get you to just jump ship and try something new, even when you haven't fully explored your current option yet. I'll give you an example of a hypothetical YouTuber. Remember when shorts were new and it was just like the new craze, and basically YouTube was trying to copy TikTok? Well, imagine you have a YouTuber who's making long-form content and they're seeing some success, but not really that much, but they just jump ship and just went straight to shorts only and just gave up on long-form content. This YouTuber maybe could have seen a ton of success if they kept doing long-form content, but they didn't fully explore that route yet, so they don't know. I know it's not the best example, but I think it illustrates the point pretty well though. Don't move on to the newest thing just because you think it's the only way that you're gonna get successful in your current project. Now maybe that could be true, but in most cases you should probably stick to what you're already doing unless you've seriously hit complete failure. And lastly, we gotta talk about instant gratification. Instant gratification activities pretty much always take away from your goals no matter what. Doing a great long project requires time and focus. It's delayed gratification. If you lack focus and you just keep scrolling on social media, that's the shiny object in the moment. You have to recognize that. It detracts from your work and you just gotta shut that shit off, especially when you gotta get lots of work done. Okay, so now that we know what shiny object syndrome is and what causes it, why is it so bad? I mean, if you haven't figured it out already, it's killing your productivity and it's just making you miserable. When you're not fulfilling your duty, you feel like shit. It leads to a lack of progress, accomplishment, and ultimately just a lack of fulfillment. Not to mention, it's also a huge waste of time and resources. When you're distracting yourself from your big project, you're taking away from it and wasting time. You only have so much time. It's a cardinal sin to waste it. And the truth is, I suffer from this a lot too. I'm not perfect. Far from it, in fact. No one's really fully immune from shiny object syndrome. Everybody's affected by it at some point or another. I would start a project, but then I would see a new project that looked really nice, so I would just give up on the current project and go to the new one, and then now I'm just left with a ton of half-completed projects. And this cycle would just repeat and repeat, and now it's been years and I haven't really made any big, meaningful projects yet. It just leaves me with a bunch of wasted time and really nothing to show for it. My YouTube channel is a perfect example of this. I started this channel like almost 3 years ago, like 2.5 years ago, but my lack of uploads were just a lack of focus, a clear plan, and honestly my mental health too. I would get distracted by a ton of other side projects and in turn I just wouldn't upload anything. You gotta get your priorities straight. Right, so now that we know that this shit is bad, how do we stop it? Well, you gotta do the opposite of what causes it. I know it sounds simple, but let me give you some examples. Let's start with the lack of clear goals. When you set clear goals that challenge you but are also realistic at the same time, it makes a lot more sense to stick to them. You need a clear plan and you need to stick to that plan. But you also have to account for distractions, because you will run into a lot of distractions. When you set limits and boundaries on those said distractions, then it becomes easier and even automatic to follow your goals. For example, I don't even think about practicing drums until I've finished all the work that I need to do for the entire day. And sometimes I have so much work that I just don't have time for it, so I just don't play it. That's part of my plan and that's how I achieve my goals. Now next we gotta deal with the FOMO. So for me, I just have to recognize that when you try something new, it's gonna take a lot of time and effort to see any results from it. And with this time and effort, it can take away from your current focus. Unless you've fully exhausted the path that you're on and it's leading absolutely nowhere, which you know isn't true or else you wouldn't be watching this video right now, then and only then should you try something new. I mean, it's not like a clear rule or anything, but in general, you should try and stick to that. Realizing that jumping ship early to just make a little bit of progress in a bunch of endeavors should be enough to make you want to stay on your current project. If I see no growth on my YouTube channel for let's say 1 to 2 years of consistent uploading, then yeah, maybe I should rethink this whole YouTube thing, but it's just way too early to tell. I just have to keep pushing. Alright, so now let's move on to everybody's favorite distraction, Instant gratification. I'm not perfect, this shit gets me too. To combat this, again, it's just kind of another realization. And that realization is when you spend too much time doing instant gratification, like scrolling on social media or playing too many video games, then you have to realize that it's taking away from your future and is taking away from your goals. Instead of smashing your goal in 1 year, now you've delayed it to, let's say, 1 year and 1 month. Now, obviously, this is just a random oversimplified example, but what I'm trying to say here is your time is finite. And as I said before, wasting time is a cardinal sin, if you want to call it that. The way I like to see it is every single action you do in your life is either for or against your goals. For example, let's say you want to go to bed early. Okay, well, when you go to bed early, then you get a great night rest, and then when you wake up tomorrow, you're feeling sharp, and it'll just make you super productive and really focus on your work. This is for your goal. But eating some junk food, on the other hand, well, I mean, when you eat junk food, it kind of clouds your mind, and it just does the opposite of what you want to do. This is an action that's against your goal. Your task is to try and maximize the amount of actions that are going to be for your goal, not against it. You will never reach 100% of good actions every single day because I truly don't think that's humanly possible, but you can try to get at least as close as you can to it. Just follow the 80-20 rule. If you can try and do at least 80% of good actions in a given day that are for your goal, you're probably doing better than like 95% of people. Just saying. Okay, so now that you know what shiny object syndrome is, why it's bad, what causes it, and how to deal with it, I hope that you can take this newfound knowledge and apply it to your everyday life so that you can start achieving those goals that you set out for yourself. The truth is, society has been set up in a way where doing good actions is just an uphill battle, while slipping into a bad lifestyle is really easy. Like, way too easy. When people look at you and think you're crazy for not succumbing to these shiny objects, that's how you know you're on a good path. You must be doing something right. But let's save the society talk for another video. So fellas, remember everything that I taught you in this video? For it could be the reason why your next project just pops off and you finally see that big win that you've been working so hard for. And remember, your next action after watching this video will dictate how soon you see success. So make them count. Good luck.